All right, today you will be testing 2 ways of signing into Userlytics platform. As you proceed, please remember always to think aloud as you go. Clarify what you're doing, your expectations and your thoughts on your interactions with the website. Please verbalize any questions that come up as you explore the website. Please keep in mind the test is for the website, not you, so there are no right or wrong answers. We want to hear your opinions and impressions, the issues you encounter, and ideas for how it could be improved. So please speak freely. Please remember to keep the Userlytics window open. Let's get started. All right. What is most important for you to find on a website when signing up for a website testing platform? I guess you just want something that's sort of easy and straightforward to sign up. And have it be sort of transparent so you know what you're getting into. But, you know, something that you could link to like a Google account or an Apple account is always good. What do you expect to see in the sign-in page and process? I guess just sort of basic, you know, like most websites, you're going to have some sort of basic biographical. You might have a name, address, things like that, email address, just sort of basic information. And then, you know, if it's like a testing platform, you would want to see something about at least some links to where you could figure out like the procedures for the app, payment, things like that. You know, in maybe not on the page, but at least easy links to it. So you know what you're getting into. You know the procedures to get paid, things like that. So that's what I'd want to see. If you access this website to sign up for user testing, where would you click first? All right. So let's see, if I want to test, you know, I see there is a get paid to test button. So I would click on that first. All right, so I'm looking to sign up for the Userlytics website testing platform, and you land on the website you have been redirected to. Please show us how you would typically go about signing up, and remember to speak aloud your impressions, expectations, and issues that come to mind as you interact. Stop when you are asked to enter information you do not need to input any. Okay. So let's start this. Page is loading. All right. Page is kind of busy. And this looks mostly designed for customers who want to, I guess, build a test. But if I wanted to sign up, I see there is a get paid to test. It's a little not that prominent, but I see it is there. So let's see. Okay. I mentioned earlier I wanted to see something on the page that just shows the sort of process for the testing. And I can see that this is here. It does mention how your payments are processed. It mentions that how they protect your data, which is nice. That's something I'd always be worried about with any sort of financial relationship with a website or app. So it does, you know, it gets sort of my basic questions out of the way. And then I would just enter my information in the little sign up area. Trying to think if there's anything else I would want to see here. I guess I would probably want a little more information on how you get tests. If you have to apply to things, if you're emailed, etc. Just sort of curiosity. For the first time when I'm signing up, I'd want to learn a little about that. Yes, I was able to complete the task. It was, the actual completing the task was very easy. The sign up, you didn't even have to give that much information. But thinking about landing on that first page, it was a little unclear where to click initially. The testing part was not very prominent. All right, once more, I'm looking to sign up. So same deal here. All right, so this is much easier to see where to go. The get paid to test is sort of easier to find on this this page. It's still, mostly designed for the customers rather than the testers, but it is, the get paid to test is very easy to see here. So I could click on that. I imagine it'll get me to a sign up page. So I'm just scrolling here. It's got an FAQ. It tells you, this is a little better. It does give you more information about the process. It lets you know you have to take a practice test. There's FAQs. It's got about safety, tells you about your incentives. It just gives you more information than the first page. And again, I would put my email in here. Very easy to do. So that was extremely easy. Did not take much effort. Compared to the sign up you completed the first task, what did you like more about this second process? What did you like less? Is there something that neither of the websites offered that you would expect or like to have on a website to sign up? The second process was better pretty much comprehensively. It was easier to figure out where to go, and it gave you more information about the testing process. I guess I was a little surprised that it was just asking for an email address. I assume there's some more information that would be required after that. It wasn't exactly clear. So I guess that's the only quibble I would have with it is it seemed a little incomplete. I thought there would be a little more required from me, and it feels a little weird that there wasn't. But it did a much better job of giving you sort of basic information about how the site works, how the payment process works, how the testing works. Let you know that you have to take a sample test to sign up. And it was just easier to navigate than the first website. So all around, the second one was better. Now, in the FAQs, they might have explained how the payment process worked, and I just didn't click on that. But it would have been nice to have something say, like, we pay you via PayPal in this case. But, if there are other options for payment, to just put that sort of clearly, I think that's something that people would be concerned about. If you had to choose, which of the two processes would you choose and why? The second website was, again, much easier to use, and I thought did a better job of providing information. It was easier to know where to click initially if you wanted to sign up. and it sort of gave you more information in a digestible format than the first one did. Compared to the sign-up you completed the first task, what did you like more about the second process? Really liked how much more information you got about the sort of testing process in general. And you had ways to get your questions answered. The FAQ was a good section. And it just did a better job of explaining the process to you. I don't know if I liked anything less. I really thought the second one was just pretty much comprehensively better than the first. Please rate how much you agree or disagree with the following statements. I would recommend the Userlytics website to friends and family. I would say yes, it's pretty easy to use. It's, as far as I've been experienced, it's very fair and transparent. You know what you're getting paid for. If tests get rejected, they give you a little explanation. So it's easy to know what you're doing right or wrong. I found the information on the Userlytics website enough for me to sign up. Yes, I would agree. The second one here was better, provided more information. So, it gives you enough information, but maybe not in the best format. I thought the second one, which I assume is like a new design, I think is better. It's easier to learn about. I like the design of the Userlytics website. Kind of neutral on that. It's easy enough to use, but I think if you're like an initial person coming to the website, it can be a little opaque. At least at first, like the first page doesn't give a lot of information about the testing process. What was the first thing you noticed in the image? I think the first thing I noticed was the text, saying you can get paid without leaving your couch. What I liked about the image was that it does a good job of, the woman in the image looks like she's chilling at home. She's very relaxed. So it sort of does a good job of conveying that this is something you can do at home in your downtime, which I think is what you're trying to get across. What did you dislike? I guess it was a little light on what it is that you're getting, what you're doing to earn this money. So it was a little light on detail. How motivating do you find this image when it comes to signing up for the platform? I would say moderately. It does do a very good job of saying, hey, this is an easy way you can make some money. But without giving sort of any detail about what you'd be doing, you have to wonder, like, is this real? How am I getting this money? Why? Things like that. So I think there could be like maybe some more text or some links or something like that. But the sort of image and message I thought were good. What would you change about the image to make it more motivating? I would put something about the testing in there, just so you know what you're doing with this app or website to make the money. Because that's like the first question I think most people are going to have is sort of how or why. And nothing in the image really or the text really answered that. So something a little more informative about what it is you're doing. How likely it is that you would recommend signing up for Userlytics to a friend or colleague? Pretty likely. You know, it is a very sort of, I find anyhow, a user-friendly platform. I like that it's transparent. I've found it trustworthy. You know, if you do a test, you do get paid when they say you're going to. And on the rare chance you don't, you get an explanation of what went wrong. So it feels like a fair procedure. And it's easy to use, doesn't take much time out of your day, and you can make a little extra money.